Okay, hi everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. And for those of you who've just seen the film, just feel free to be dropping your first impressions across the Q&A and the chat so we can interact with those as well. My name is Nadine. With us, we have the directors of Mutant, the documentary we've just seen, NTHATO, LEBOGANG, and of course, Isaac is with us as well. Thank you so much, guys. And congratulations on your world premiere.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been the loneliest one by far. We're all in our rooms, in our Zooms, in our pajamas, but yeah, thank you.
And 6 years in the making.
Yo,
How does that?
Felt like 19 years, man, but
yeah. Yay!
It was worth it.
It was worth it though. It was worth it.
It's a dope ass fucking. It's a dope film, for real. And I big up.
Okay.
To Lebo and Tato, and I big up Owen Salute. It's nicely done, Salute.
Wow.
Make my head swell for a moment. I felt like I look like James Bond for a moment. You know, I do some acting in but all right. I got to tell my story. These two Owens made it possible. Big up for that. I'm blessed for that. Really, I'm blessed for that. You wouldn't believe.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, so guys, what made you decide let's do a documentary on Isaac Mutant? What was that journey like?
I also want to know that. That's a very good question. That caught me by surprise. I didn't expect that one.
Okay.
NTHATO?
In general, I'd say we were trying to make quite a wide scope film about hip hop in South Africa from back in the day to now. And so what Isaac represented for us was someone with his feet firmly in the heritage as far as, you know, the old school of Mitchell's Plain, hip hop coming into SA, but also pushing it forward into the next decades, you know? So somebody to have that perspective of being forward looking, but grounded in the essence was important for us. Lebo?
So real talk, and Isaac will know this as well, is that when we first started making the documentary, it was essentially going to feature 3 subjects. And after having spent quite a bit of time with all the subjects, Isaac's story felt like the one that was the most compelling. There was this like moment in which Isaac kind of pulled us away from all the other films and all the other characters, and we just kind of became immersed in his world. And then, what was meant to be a week of spending time with Isaac turned into 7 years.
I tend to do that, bro. Don't worry about it.
I'm grateful. We're better. Yeah, we're grateful. Yeah, I think it was just, I think this term gets thrown around quite a lot, but it just was very organic, and it almost became clear to us this is the film that we were supposed to make, you know, as in there's always the film that you kind of dream and think of making when you wake up in the morning, but there's a different film that you make when you go to bed, and this was the one that we needed to make when the sun sets and for eternity.
Wow.
That's deep, man.
Isaac, what made you say yes, and what made you see it through for 6 years?
Somebody make a film about current artists and blah blah blah, these kinds of artists, and I'm included, you know. Of course, like I think Lebo said earlier on, there were 3 artists or 3 acts originally selected. I was at that time with Dukum, right? So for me, like, fuck yeah, we're gonna do this thing. And then due to circumstances, it only became Isaac Mutant. It's like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do this thing. Are you mad? Are you crazy? It's like I get to tell my story, you know. And but I didn't expect any of those things that finally, you know, in the final result, I didn't expect it to go that way. It was humbling, bro. It was for real, but it was humbling. These bros went on a journey with me, bro, and I got to know these brothers. They've been bailing me out like since you know, since God knows when. Me on the big screen, fuck yeah, how can you not, like? And plus the is very carefully crafted. I never expected anybody to really tell my story the way. That's exactly how I picture the whole thing. Exactly.
Okay.
That
Wow.
whole thing describes my personality and you know, my thoughts, the schizo, you know, the voices, the schizo, everything is on point, bro. It's nicely done, even the evolution. So but normally I put my like everything like in hands, you see. So it wasn't really my decision, you know. So I just went with it. It just felt right. So yeah, it's our best, man, you know.
I think so. While we're on this, I think what's quite interesting is, like, in the time that we spent with Isaac, like NTHATO and I, of course, we've been friends for eternity and we've made a lot of films together, and Imran was also with us. And he was with us on the journey, and and then we got to meet Isaac and we became like homies, you know, and a lot of the time we just forgot to film. We'd just be like hanging out, drinking beers, just chilling with Isaac, and then he's just like talking, and then every now and then NTHATO would be like, oh shit guys, you gotta start filming again. So there's also a lot of stuff that we probably missed just as a result of how close we got, but then also a lot of stuff that we got just because of how close we got, you know?
That's funny though, because that's how I like to work, because like get the true sense, like be truthful, you know. I don't like this whole acting thing and this whole what do you call it, art construct beweging. It's a bit fakeish for me. I don't know if I might be not naive. I'm well aware about controlled environments and blah blah blah, but like if if the subject is gonna be, if it's not subject is gonna be me, you're gonna have to see me. It's no script and shit. So I'd like to say what I want to say, and I kind of dug it the way we did it though, you know, because I like to sniff somebody before I work with somebody. I don't just collab with anybody. If I have to like you, or I have to like know you at the very least, like what I'm dealing with. So that was beautiful. That was very, very, very nicely done. Since we became homies, you show this. I only work with homies. I only got fam. I only got fams, bro. I don't have fans. I only got kings and queens as my fams, bro. So yeah. So salute for that.
Yeah. What are the challenges really of like following the chronology, you know what I mean, of chronology of an artist, like really tracing the background, all those steps? What are the challenges with that?
I'll talk
to for us it was, I think it was trying to decide whether we were even interested in having a chronological thing, because a huge part of what Isaac was talking about was today, you know, the things that face South Africa today and what the burning questions of today were. So it was that to bring those questions to the fore, but also to give them context. And that's what we needed the chronology for. Level?
And I think to NTHATO's point, at some point, it was less about like chronology in terms of like time, but more chronology in terms of like Isaac's artistry. So the film is like led narratively by his songs, right? So there's like Kakstovi, Father's Day, Yo Pus Melani, da 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 da. So we also used a very different kind of language for how we dealt with time and chronology. It wasn't very linear. It was kind of like a bit lateral, so which was also quite nice, you know. So we, yeah, it was, yeah.
I guess that's what they say the magic of hip hop is, you know, that you can play with time from side to side and keep telling the story the way we like it to cut it up.
Yeah, the way it's more like how you experience things as opposed to the way in which things happen or supposed to happen. So you kind of create your own rules for how you interface with the universe through music.
But I also like the fact that because the evolution of the whole thing that you guys portrayed, because an artist is not stagnant, right? So like there's no one set of rules or one set of opinion, right? Like rather, because like artists change, it's like it's a human change, right? So I kind of dug what you guys did there with the evolution, with the time, with the chronology is concerned, you see. Because like eventually you end up here and you end up here and you end up here. First there was this color thing in the beginning, and then there was this Khoisan thing, and there was this Rasta thing. That was so I was hoping that would happen. because I'm not the same as I was like 20 years ago, whatever,
Yeah.
15 years ago. Even I'm not the same the way I was at the beginning of the movie as I was at the end of the movie. That was fucking beautiful. The chronology of that. Die tydbeweging van Diamond. Dude, I love that. The chronology of that is beautiful. That will tell people it's very important for art, because that will tell people like, look, man, we can grow as well. You know, it's not we're not flat, we're not stagnant like that. We do grow as, you know, as humans as well. You see, our artistry as well. And yeah, that was dope. I really love that.
Yeah. Also for me, like you know, when discussing identity politics, like no one person is ever just one thing. You are constantly evolving. Identity is such a fluid thing, right? And so I was very interested in how you unpacked identity. And for me, it's always interesting how, like, if you are, let's say, boxed in some way, whenever you want to identify yourself as different, you always have to go through this explanation. Everything must always be explained. And so I was wondering how it was for you guys as directors to deep dive into a certain identity, what you learned, maybe things that you didn't expect, and how you felt that you rounded that theme off in the film.
Nadine, come with the question, Nadine. What are you saying? Ask us.
I'm just reflecting on, like,
Just come up with it,
no. I'm just saying, like, if, like, for me, people would say, okay, you're Cape colored, but I would say I'm Black, right? And that is unpacked throughout the film, and different people come with different explanations, right? And I was wondering, what did you guys take from that? And yeah, like how you feel it rounded off, because Isaac is well, in the film, it's like this constantly evolving identity, right? Just what your thoughts are on that, what you felt just interviewing different people.
Well, I'd say Isaac was the springboard for that conversation. So even for it going into those different parts, we were exploring Isaac's Blackness. We were exploring Isaac's, you know, position in a so-called colored, you know, what is so-called colored? Do we have to say so-called? We're talking about all these things because they were coming up in every sentence that Isaac was saying. So, and it wasn't necessarily going in one direction. Sometimes it was even conflicting. So we just had to ride with what the eye was saying.
Nadine, are you asking what our personal sort of like?
Yeah, like, yeah. Speaking to different people, how did you guys reflect on it?
NTHATO?
Because it's not a conversation that I feel can ever be rounded off, right? So how did you guys grapple with that in the film?
Well, I'd say a big thing, LEBOGANG and I had quite a crazy experience. We went to a film screening in Johannesburg at the Nelson Mandela Foundation. And we kind of became at the center of quite a heated debate about colored identity with very few colored people there. Well, with very few, you know what I mean? It's even, so it was just a very sticky thing. So throughout the film experience, that like weird thing that we saw really stuck with us in quite a dark way. So we tried to shed light on a situation that we thought was dark in what we saw.
And what NTHATO's not saying is the fact that, like, Black people have very little empathy for the plight of colored people. So when he talks about like a weird darkness, it's that. So for us as like,
that's so interesting.
Black men, Black straight men, Black straight middle class men from a particular background, to make a film like this, you often have to kind of think about like your identity and your position, right? Relative to the information that you're receiving constantly, as NTHATO said, as Isaac is taking you down on this path, on this journey. What does that mean for you? How do you interact with your own identity? And that's really the question that I think, or the question that at least maybe I'm more interested in answering. Not to take your
maybe you're phrasing it better, but that's what I meant. Like, you know, I think the debate is ever ongoing. So I was wondering, how do you reflect on it for yourself? And
well, I mean, I think
because even for me, there were people that I agreed with, people that I disagreed with in the documentary.
Yeah, so a big thing for us was to have people speak for themselves, and for us from outside to
disappear.
Yeah.
And I think it was also important, sorry, Isaac, I want you to talk because this is very important for you to say this, but I also think it was also important for this film to constantly be about Isaac, and for us as filmmakers to kind of, you know, I think there's like a lot of emphasis on like filmmakers and directors, and I think that it's more important to actually, it's like disproportionate focus. And I think for us, the focus I always wanted the film, NTHATO and I always wanted the film to always go back to Isaac. And we spent a lot of time making sure that there is a certain amount of time that lapses in the film without either hearing or seeing Isaac, particularly in particular issues. So we're very thoughtful in how Isaac appears texturally throughout the film.
But at the same time, because it's such a broad community with so many voices, we didn't want it to be like Isaac is saying that he's the dictionary or that he's the encyclopedia, you know, wanted to show that he has his voice and it's not necessarily fully congruent with everyone, but, and the content.
I think it was, yeah, sorry, Isaac, do you wanna come in with?
No, I just wanted to say, I kind of like the idea of other people having a say in there as well, because the topic of this, the constantly mentioned the thing that that Isaac throughout the movie talk about is the colored identity thing. It is such a frowned upon thing and such a dark thing that South Africa don't want to touch it. Even colored people, so-called colored people, don't want to touch on that. I kind of dig the idea that even if it's not important that I don't agree with everybody. Nobody can agree with everybody. So, but you get a different point of view of different people. So I kind of like the idea of that. You see, from a different perspective of this thing, of that thing, or whatever, yeah, that's where that is concerned. That wasn't, yeah, where the colored thing is concerned. That's not really the issue, but yeah, where those people are concerned. I kind of like the idea of different people having a voice. You don't have to agree with it, but it is so, you know, the person have an opinion, right? Why not? Otherwise, the whole fucking thing doesn't make sense, you know? What's the point of it all then? What are we fighting for then? So, yeah, man, say what the fuck you want to say. That was brilliant, actually, of bringing those people in. Yeah, I fuck, especially this. I don't know. You see, this color thing. I don't know, man. You know, this color thing is not necessarily the main issue, particularly, but I kind of dig that it was there was a light shine on that whole fucking thing. You see, because nobody wants to talk about that fucking thing. Colors don't know what the fuck to talk about. Can I call myself a color? Can we call this? All these emotions, and you know how sensitive South Africa is about everything. So now, and these are things that we need to that needs to be dealt with. I love the balls the directors had to highlight that shit. That was just. It's not necessarily because I'm a colored. But it's a fucking topic that's there in South Africa. You know, we need to deal with these kinds of things the way South Africans do, like, and the way South colors do, black people do, and white people do. It can only be us, man. Salute.
I just want to take a question from the Q&A. So Kate Tumetse asked, after 6 years of footage and an evolving protagonist, what was the journey in post like?
Post.
Oh.
Shit, man.
Editing. We have to take this moment to give a shout out to Ndevo.
From Postmodern. The editing process at a technical level was myself and NTHATO printing out hundreds and hundreds of hours of interviews and making selects and then swapping the notes and then doing a paper edit and making sure that we have a film that tells a particular story. And then after that, sitting in an edit suite for months and months and months and years and just crafting the narrative. And the film has changed. I mean, by the time we finished, I think in total, maybe there was like version 8 of the film. So it was a long audience journey, but I was fortunate to work with my friends who I love and respect, NTHATO and the Vosfeso were great. And also Isaac, which was also really amazing because we sent the film to Isaac as well. And Isaac also had a say in the editorial content, and there's certain things he asked us to take out, which was really great for us to know that he, A, loved the film, And maybe that's my favorite thing about the film. So like, if people don't like the film, I don't give a shit because I know how much Isaac loves the film. And the fact that Isaac in the film says he loves the film, for me, is the best part of the whole film. And I think that comes, and Isaac, I could be wrong, but us being so open with you about the process. I don't know. How did you feel about your involvement in the editorial process?
I always like, you know, there's a respect, Musma, because you have to respect the subject's views and whatnot. There was a few things that like, ooh, that's not gonna sit well with so and so and so and so. That's gonna fuck up like my daughter's, which she's just gonna hate me forever for certain things. So that was actually very, very nice. You don't get that much in this country, though. People respecting, particularly the artists, you know, the artist, the rapper, or whatever, you know. So that it saved a few things for me, future arguments and shit. Yeah, that you actually respected my, you know, my request. Yeah, I don't want certain things I don't want to be highlighted, man, you know. In my history and shit. Yeah, but that was very dope. But I love this movie, man, bro, for real. Even it's certain things that looks corny to me, like, damn, that was corny, but it was so honest, you know, the honesty, the integrity of the whole fucking thing. I'm all about the integrity of this, that, the other. I try to be as objective as possible. So now, yeah, man, editing, beautiful. Big up for actually asking me, how do I feel about this, that? We don't get that. The rappers don't get that in this country. I don't know. Big up for that, for real. Big up for that. For respecting.
NTHATO?
What are we, sorry?
I don't know if you just wanted to add something about the post, like the post, 6 years of post.
No, just glad that we got through it, man. There were many times where we weren't sure how to get to that next phase, but we just all brought it together. So I'm very glad.
So can I say something about my post?
Sure.
So I'm building an earthship, man. I became a permaculturalist after the documentary. After you guys shot the documentary, I became a permaculturalist. So I'm building my own house, man, with tires, dude. Yeah. Earthship. So I just wanted to nice. I just needed to share that message to the people. That's post from my side. One of the posts.
Yes. There's 2 comments from Hannah Fly. She said, it's such a brilliant and electric film, one of the best of the festival for sure. And she says, it's so interesting hearing how close you all are because it definitely shows in the film. It totally aids the energy of the piece as a whole. And then just before I get to the rest, there's a couple of things that stood out for me, but I was also interested in Isaac, when you said, yeah, you're gonna people want you to be like this colored role, you're gonna act up the Kham color. And I read in this other thing that you said you play up the villain role, and that's so interesting for me, especially what, like, you know, in Kaksterby and a number of other videos. And I'm just wondering what inspired that. You know, what kind of place does that come from, and how you feel? Are you feeling about playing that role now?
It's not necessarily playing a villain, right? So I kind of dig like an anti-hero. Everything that they used to say is wrong with me. I'm gonna take that now and I'm gonna be that and make it as funky as fuck. The way I dress, the way I talk, everything about me was wrong. Like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, everything about me was wrong, and I'm distasteful the way I speak and blah 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 blah. But yeah, but I'm busy with the track. I'm a nigga here. Then I say that, study my swag. You can color me bad. I just let my pen sag. So okay, cool. So Kham was distasteful back in the day. How come ninjas then trying to be Kham? Everybody's trying to be Kham. Like, you know, everybody that says Kham is bad. So I'm gonna be that. And go to Europe and be that. And let everybody say push and show them what the pipe is, and then I'm gonna let everybody rock. You're gonna hear me next year again. So there's nothing wrong with anybody. Like, you are you because you are cool to be you. That's why God created you in the first place. So I'm gonna be whatever you're gonna call me. I'm gonna take that thing. It's just a word, Musman. Fuck you. It doesn't influence who I am, really. Who I am. It's just a word. So I'm gonna take that word against you, your so-called magics and spells and blah blah blah. and fucking use it against you and functify that shit. I was the tightest brother after Steve Hofmeyer with Afrikaans, bro. White people didn't know how dope Afrikaans is before I step on this fucking scene. You see?
Yeah.
For real. Ask anybody. So it used to be the slave masters of the language. Yeah, I took it. Everything you say is wrong with me. I'm gonna functify that shit. There's nothing wrong with anybody. I wouldn't have created us the way we are. So just to fucking display to equal that playing field, that's my whole fucking thing. I think I'm dwelling off. I'm digressing. I can't even remember what the question was. So I see you said something about Khambala, but anyway, what inspired me was like you know, funky Kham people are like there's such a fucking like a variety of things that happening in the Kham. Like a white person actually pointed this out to me one day, like, dude, you know how Cloak and Dagger, a colored dude is just asking a cigarette as Cloak and Dagger, my broekie. It's like funky as fuck. There's so much flavored things happening. What us colored people see as problems. It's not necessarily problems, it's flavor. It's not bland, you see, it's not bland, it's things. It's like, damn, there's so much material, there's so much things that's happening there. So, yo, I'm gonna be proudly Kham. If I don't like the word, but yeah, I'm gonna be that. Obviously,
now there was such a moment in the film, and I thought, yeah, it's so powerful and it's so layered at the same time to just be like, yeah, I'm gonna take this and like you're saying,
but let me correct you. I'm not really trying to be Kham. I'm really trying to portray the little man on the street, the ghetto, the poverty is really what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to be like champion one, like a certain race, because like there's only one race, there's the human race. But then there's like the rich motherfuckers, and there's too many rich motherfuckers and too many broke motherfuckers. Poverty in South Africa, that's really, from this point of view, yo, I can also do shit on Eminem's level. In fact, I think I'm all doper than Eminem. So everybody always expects the ghetto can't produce quality things and blah, 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 and some substantial stuff, man. So that's really, I just wanted to correct you. I'm not trying to champion colors. I'm trying to champion poverty, ghetto.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm trying. I just want to correct you on that one.
No, I just took the quote from the film, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Pick up.
I'm quickly just going to read some comments coming in from Facebook. Sade said, you felt like a spirit animal. It's the wavelength and frequency of time. And Shukri says, this film sits with you long after it's got heart, soul, and it's just chaos of the dopest kind, but direct boosting. And then Noel on Facebook says, well done, guys, brilliantly done. And there's anonymous that asks, what kind of impact do you think this film has in broadening the awareness of the South African music scene? Does the impact extend beyond this? And I guess that's to everyone.
I'm gonna moan here. Can I go on this one? You see, what really the impact of this thing? I'm trying to let people. There's the Charlene Sotik, Richard situation, right? So the film ends now very, very dope. They crafted it, like the two directors crafted it very nicely, with me standing in the door coming out, and my bird is busy with this fish, right? So after all, and that's especially after this whole record label situation, right? So now I'm back in the visual looks like, the image looks like I'm back in a shack. I kind of dig that because it's organic. So I'm hoping people can it translates to people the plight that us artists in this fucking country, particularly colored artists in this country, go through, because the statistics shows the fucking truth. It is, you can argue all the things, yeah, my business is whacking, blah, blah, blah. Robbie Jensen, Shirley Matthee is a fucking legend. It just dies. Dead, bro. She couldn't afford her own funeral. So when I'm looking at that documentary, I'm thinking, yo, is that, because there's a few people, there's certain people that call Isaac Newton a legend, right? And I'm not bragging about it, it's just a thing. So is that, and I know how dope I am, so is that my future, yo? Then I go back to the statistics of this country. My white counterparts, MCs, is not having the same problem, and it is a fucking fact. I'm not even being an asshole, nobody wants to talk about this. So am I hoping people, it leaves that kind of impact on people, you know, that people should be aware of what the fuck is happening. particularly people of artists of color in this country is getting a bad deal. That's not even my opinion. It is a fucking fact. This current thing that's happening, Charlene Shirty Richards, it's exactly that happened right now. How is that fucking, how is that possible? How is that possible?
It was scary.
How is there one person in poverty in this country possible? We're not, that person is then a citizen of this country. How is that one artist in this country? How is that the artist of my caliber? I'm not bragging, I know what my caliber is. Of my caliber still don't have diet to eat. I've been loafing off of Lebo and NTHATO for this last few years, and they've been helping me. I'm not even ashamed to say that shit. So how is that possible? You see, this is a fucked up thing, and nobody wants to talk about it because no, it's your business. No, the game is rigged. It's not rigged in our favor. The game is fucking rigged. You see, sorry, I'm getting heated here. I just wanted, I hope that's kind of what I'm trying to, you know, when I look at it, it's like, you see, is that my fucking future? These Barusa helped me with my daughter's fucking fees one year. They came to come shoot some footage. I'm like, yo man, my daughter's going to school. Can you help me with it? They helped me with cash. I'm fucking so ashamed. Forever thankful for what these Barusa did. But how is that possible though? You see, if I was in the States, you know, or whatever, I don't want to benchmark the States or whatever. But in another country, for me, it's like, yo, man, in a country where this language is so fucking big, it's the second biggest language in this fucking country. You see, my white counterpart is not having the same problem. You see, what the fuck is this then?
And what's interesting is in the Afrikaans sphere, even like if you compare the Afrikaans, why isn't Black Afrikaans held in the same, you know,
because
platforms,
the game is fucking rigged.
Yeah.
The game is rigged. Nobody want to say it. I'm going to say it. The game is rigged. Imagine me with 58 million rand in my account. Can you imagine the chaos I'm going to cause the system? Can you just imagine that shit? I wouldn't give like those kind of money.
I remember, yeah.
I got too much of an opinion. That's what, like, I got too much of an opinion. You can't control me with money. Are you crazy?
So the game is rigged to keep us silent.
But people forget one thing. The system forget one thing. Jazz in control of this world. Jazz in control of this world. It's not the system's fucking world. I don't care about your money. I'm going to say what the fuck I'm going to say. You see? I'm just going to keep making doper and doper and doper music. Shine this light on this fucking problem, you see? And try to empower my people, you see? Fuck you, you can't kill me. What the fuck are you gonna do? Gonna make me a martyr? I don't care about your money. I'm gonna make my own money. Fuck you.
And that, yeah, no. I mean, we can go on that forever. I just also in the film, you guys tackled Afrikaans, right? And again, the different way Afrikaans is treated and so on. Yeah, what was your guys' take on that again? Like the self-reflection on what people were saying.
NTHATO?
Yeah, no, it was also talking to, like, we met with Emil Black Noise. Emil, he's got another perspective as far as telling us about Indonesians and Malay words in Afrikaans, or the words in Afrikaans, the Khoisan words in Afrikaans. So it gave us another perspective on the language, just from being there, of things we didn't necessarily point out. And what I'm talking about is the blackness of the language.
Yeah, it's actually very black. Afrikaans was actually correct.
That was
sorry. Go ahead, Lebo.
No. My point is kind of a unhelpful point, but there was one day where we were just super tired and we'd been filming for hours and it was just kind of crazy, and I deleted a card of footage and
You started to swear in Afrikaans.
Yeah. And look at NTHATO's face. Look at NTHATO's face. He still hates me. To this day, he hasn't forgiven me because we could have made a different film if I hadn't. But he's my friend. He's my friend and he loves me. But yeah, but anyway, maybe that footage wasn't meant to be in the film. But anyway, what NTHATO's talking to was made, yeah. Ja didn't want that in the film.
Can I just add something very important, actually, very important. So like when I was in high school, right? It used to be standard and not grade. So I was in standard 9 and standard 10. I used to have this Afrikaans text because it says Afrikaans metal. Who's saying that? Who's claiming that? So I just want to educate people, enlighten people where Afrikaans come from. Afrikaans is actually the Creole, the equivalent of a Creole language of the Dutch language, right? So Afrikaans is created from the slave to communicate between the other slaves and the master, right? So it's this minglemoes of Indo and Zulu and Xhosa and Khoi and all these things. So the Afrikaans language was created by the so-called colored person. People don't know that. So because it's a slang, it's a branch of, it's a bastard of Dutch. It's a colored language. It was a colored, it is a colored language. I just want to say that for the record. People don't want to know, people don't want to recognize that. So
for me, on another side, just as a hip hop head, somebody who's into MCs and spitting, that then becomes a whole other, flavor, perspective on the craft, on spitting.
Yeah. Especially if you apply academic rules. That's what I try to do with my lyrics. This vulgarity or this, this slang thing. If you can apply academics or these kinds of principles to this kind of thing, then it becomes poetry, bro. Fucking listen to one of my tracks, man. That's all I can say. Because it's this fucking thing, and it's ever evolving thing. It's an expression, most one. And I don't think.
So Isaac, you're very aware when people call you like the god of Afrikaans rap. That's what you're trying to do. You're going into the language to be the god of Afrikaans rap.
Embracing the kingdom.
Technically, I mean.
Okay, because it is a spiritual. I'm not really. I don't really care about titles, right? But in this from this perspective, because it is a spiritual thing. If you if you go into a certain frequency, right? Then and you can speak to people's spirits. Then the language disappears, and the tone of your voice and gender disappears. But because language is just a medium, right? If you could speak to Bob Marley, does it beautifully. You keep forgetting what language the dude just spoke, because then punctuality and all that shit disappears. He speaks to the spirit. That's what I try to attain. If you can speak to this person's spirit with language, right? There's two things that I try to do. I try to do to speak to the person, to people, irrespective of what language. But technically, I also want to say, this is also an authentic language. It is a thing. It can be taken seriously, just like any other serious language can be taken. It can be dissected. It can be studied. It can be. It adheres to serious rules. You see, that's also what I'm trying to do, because it can be. Okay, cool. A verb is a verb, and a noun is a noun, and blah blah blah. But it can interchange all the time. It can change positions. So that's what I'm trying to show from the colored point of view, on academic level with this Afrikaans thing. And I'm really trying to attain God's status with this thing, because we don't have a lot of heroes in our community. Because we are from God in any case, we're spiritual in any case. We can attain these things, like especially when we create as creators, we touch this nirvana, we touch spiritual, we touch God, like we can. That's really very, very dope that you said that, NTHATO. That you notice that I'm trying to attain that thing. Titles are just titles, but the emperor embraces titles though, because there's purpose. So I'm very humbled by these titles, but yeah, there's purpose. Murder me before you call yourself a god.
Thanks. I'm gonna take.
And it will help other people raise the game as well. Sorry, I just wanted to add that.
No, for sure. I want to take a question from Misha from the Q&A. It says, as the film revolves around identity and ethnicity, how does the youth on the Cape Flats, how do we as youth accept that we are proud Black South African citizens? My mother featured on Action Commandant NTHATO, shout out NTHATO, And how do we use heroes such as Ashley, Colin, Robbie, Christopher Truther, and follow in their footsteps because they died for non-racialism?
First and foremost, go study about them, see what they did in the first and foremost, like, because the whole color community is very ignorant about Africa, actually. Let alone our heroes, you know, in the commanders and whatnot. Look, man, I don't know, man, where this blackness thing is concerned. Just embrace who you are as a person, I would suppose. This whole black thing and color thing took a new spin. The system now took these tribes and, you know, it created some other identities. Being African is African. It's dope enough. Personally, I feel I've been called a cover enough in the 80s. I paid for that shit, for that badge. I'm gonna be the fuck you now. Okay, cool. I am black. At one stage I was black. Now at another stage I was colored. Blah blah blah. I really think it's important to be you and know your roots, culture. That's what the emperor preaches, like roots and culture, I think. And educate yourself about past, like even current heroes. Africa is so rich with heroes, people. We don't know about these people. How can the Emperor Haile Selassie not be in one textbook on high school? How is that possible? The last emperor of this continent. How is that possible? Jesus, the line of Judah. How is that possible? We don't know anything about the emperor. About the emperor, the last emperor of this continent, of Ethiopia. Africa used to be called Ethiopia. We don't know jack about that shit. Learn about that shit. Learn about Ashley, learn about everything of Africa. We know everything about the French Revolution. Everything who's different. I don't know how that's relevant to me. I know one Khoi person on the geschiedenis I learned about, Harry de Strandhofer. That wasn't even his real name. We don't even know what the emperor's son's eldest son is called. We don't know jack about our shit. We know everything about Days of Our Lives, about Pop Smoke, about Tupac and shit. I saw two brothers having a literal fight. Where Tupac is not dead. Tupac is dead. You know, like, okay, cool. Donald Trump, that too now. We don't know our shit. That's just my point of view. I might be, you know, that's just my.
Oh no, you're on point. You're on point.
I think we are so over time, guys. It's been so fascinating, but I think that's a sign of a good film, a powerful film, that we can draw all these things from it, and like there's so many things like and moments and statements to unpack, right? And maybe as one of the closing questions is, when did you guys as filmmakers decide, okay, this is the end, like the end of production, like we've got enough material we can do? Like, how do you know this is it?
When Isaac walked out of, when Isaac was eating that fish from the ocean that he caught, there's a certain time at which a film tells you that it's over. And when we received that footage, we hadn't spoken to Isaac for some time. I think it had been 6 months, maybe, since the last time we had communicated and we'd been editing. And the film was going to take a different ending. And it was during the beginning of lockdown. It was a very strict lockdown, I remember. And we had two friends in Cape Town, Chris Ketz and Adrian de Van Veek, and they knew Isaac, and we were like, okay, go film Isaac, catch up with Isaac, because chapter 2 needed a bit of footage of Isaac in Mitchell's Plain. So they're like, we just go spend a bit of time with Isaac in Mitchell's Plain. These brothers went to go film with Isaac, to spend a bit of time with Isaac, and then we didn't hear anything for like a couple of days. And then he sent us a hard drive, and when we looked through the footage, and there was Isaac in Mitchell's Plain, cool, dope. There's Isaac, this is what we need for chapter 2. And then as we keep watching the footage, this bra is on a mountain eating fish and talking about Ja. We're like, it's over. We're like, it's done, we're done here.
That's why I was curious to see how the fuck they're gonna swing that one. Because I know what I look like. Like, damn, this dude is a hermit. I was curious to see you guys.
That was beautiful.
You guys cleansed that one. Yeah, you cleansed that nicely. I was like, oh snap, I'm gonna look soft now here.
No, but even because I didn't even think Isaac knew that the film was rolling, where he was like, yeah, this documentary articulates everything that I've been trying to articulate my whole life. We're like, rap.
Yeah. Even my daughter is in there, man. Lyric, I just have to give a big up to Lyric, my baby girl. She wants to battle me, a headache. Yeah, I just wanted to big up that in Imran, but Lyric is just a headache. My baby girl's a headache. She wants to battle me, bro. She's an MC, she's tight.
Nice.
Big up for that. Thank you really for that. Thank you really for that. I just want to big up to you guys. I really want to say thank you to Lebo, to Tato, and to Imi, man, for real, for this opportunity, for real. You see myself like that. It's almost dropping. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that on camera.
Thank you for letting us. Thank you for letting us tell your story and trusting us and being so open and collaborative. It was just it was an honor to develop a friendship with you in the process of making a film.
Yeah, man. I'm blessed, dude. I'm blessed. Yeah, so I became a Rasta. You know, I've always been a Rasta. You know, I just became more anchored and humble. You know, and grew up in it. You know, evolved and shit.
Yeah.
Shit. And I'm much more of a fighter right now. Don't get it twisted. But yeah, nice what you guys did there. I was so hoping you guys would get that, capture that shit without looking to, you know, like us colored people always look on the fucking film. I had a bit of begging you. Very, very dope. I'm big up for that one. And praise to Jah, Haile Selassie, Emperor the First, my bro, man. I love white people. Just wanted to add that. I love white people. I just needed to add that.
I'd like to give a shout out to Vincent.
Yeah. Salute, Linson. To all the people in the there's a shout out time.
I think it's ended with shout outs.
Yeah, I just wanna first and foremost thank Ja, and then thank the two directors and Imi as well. Imi was in my bird, Natasha's Katesh. We're busy with the crew called Kapzela. We're gonna murder like we always do. And everybody that contributed to the film. Basically all the Heinspark manskap. I'm out by the citizen now, so big up to the Owens, overdose them, gate crashes them, griep them.
Griep.
Yeah, griep, yeah. Big up for my bro Spooks, they send more beats so I can murder this next album. I just want to say big up to everybody, like, you know, big up, thank you very much. If I didn't mention you, I didn't mean not to mention it, maybe I did, but big up to encounter this film, man.
Thanks, guys. And where to after encounters?
I hope that, to the point that Isaac made, I hope a lot of people watch this film. A lot of people follow Isaac's career. A lot of people buy Isaac's music.
I just wanted to add that buy Isaac's
music. Buy Isaac's music, contribute to his well-being. He's got a teenage daughter who's finishing high school, who is a dope MC. Buy her music, buy Isaac's music, and contribute to their upkeep, right? He says that maybe he doesn't have to have 16 pairs of Adidas and shit, but one might be nice. And shit. I think it's not. So real talk. It would be amazing for us if this film, right, could somehow find a way, and we'll do as much as we can, as Isaac has said, to always look out for him. But it'd be amazing if this film could somehow find a way to benefit Isaac through the music. That would be the best case scenario. And Tato, can I get an amen?
Yeah, as a good promotional thing moving forward, you know.
Yeah.
Someone asked if there are any links to drop in the chat. Are there any links to drop in the chat, like links to finding the music, where people can buy?
You contact me, we talk business, we talk
on
price.
Facebook.
You contact me
on
Facebook. Yeah, on Facebook. Contact Isaac Mutant on Facebook before I get hacked again. Contact me, Isaac Mutant on Facebook. Then we talk money, motherfucker, money. That's where you get music. Links, free downloads and shit. Pay up, motherfucker, because I'm dope. You know I'm dope. Everybody knows I work hard at being dope. And maybe I'll throw in something free. I always do, but yeah. But anyway, I'm busy setting up some Bandcamp thing. I'm busy setting up like becoming proper website and blah 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 blah. So very soon you'll be able to download shit for a price. Obviously, right now you contact Isaac Newton on Facebook. Until further notice, I'll hook you up with stuff.
I want to say one closing thought. I know I've been talking a lot, but I was saying to NTHATO that I have this dream. Remember those in the 1990s where they used to make those like a film and then they take footage, they take footage from the film and make a music video. So like to promote the film. So like when they made The Bodyguard with like Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston, and then in the music video, I'll Always Love You, they take footage from the film and then they cut it into a music video film. I would love for us, as Isaac makes new music, to use footage from the film to make music like Isaac music videos in that same kind of style. Did that make sense to anybody?
Yes,
I
total.
like that. I'll keep sending you stuff, man.
It'll be so sick because like we in, and I think it'll be great. Yeah, I'd love to just carry on working with you and building a body of work that can, like I said, you've given us so much, and we'd love for you to also get as much from this as possible.
The film moving forward, we're just gonna continue sharing it as far as possible, you know. And we've had films in the past of ours go to some film festivals, so we're gonna share it to those same people and just try to get it out as far as possible for all platforms.
Cool, guys. Yeah, no, thanks for this opportunity to be in conversation with you. LEBOGANG, do you want to say anything there? Oh, you agreed. Thanks, guys. It was really awesome to connect with all of you, and just wishing you best on this journey. Isaac, your journey on your new music. Reach out to Isaac on Facebook. Keep following the film. It's on, I know the page is on Instagram. I know there's a Facebook page as well. Follow there. Watch it at Encounter, spread the news, and yeah, we'll call it a wrap for tonight. Thanks, guys.
Yep.